want to ask. Welcome to Plaza Cultural, Armando Perez. And welcome back, Jim and Leah and Katy. We love having you guys. We're so happy that we get to welcome you a couple days every year. I was sorry to miss you last year. But anyway, I'm going to be really quick, and I'm going to give you a brief history of our garden and tell you what it is and tell you where we're going in the future.
Can you all hear in the back? You want to scoot forward just a little because it's really interesting.
All right, I'll try and project a little bit
that
better.
Works too. That works too.
To repeat, I'm going to do a little bit of a history of our garden. I'm going to tell you what we are, and I'm going to tell you where we're going. Basically, La Plaza Cultural is a community center and park, and it ended where the tables end at tonight's dinner. And the space beyond was a community garden. They were eventually joined. La Plaza was started by a group of Latino ex-gang members. Their work caught the attention of people like Buckminster Fuller. He donated a couple of geodesic domes that are no longer here. And also Gordon Matta Clark, a very famous deconstructivist artist who was recently featured at a retrospect at the Whitney. But his whole work was to go into tenement buildings in the neighborhood that had been abandoned or burned, deconstruct them, and in the process teach the locals how to go back in and reconstruct them, teaching construction techniques and also building parks and building park benches and things like that. So between the group Charas, the original Latino group that started this garden, and Gordon Matta Clark, they really started to improve the neighborhood, both in housing stock and open space, really taking control of it and using the power that once was going towards crime to rebuild. Then
when was that? When
that was in the 70s. Okay. Basically, La Plaza started in 1977 and really lasted until like the mid-80s. And about that period, things had gotten a little bit out of control down here again. And the group who had started La Plaza was given a backdoor deal to start a community center in a school on the block. So they left. The deal was that...
Hold on. Just hold on. There you go. Sorry.
The deal that they made with the city was they wouldn't fight development on this space if they got the school. It seemed like a pretty good deal, but the neighbors were really upset. And so they fought, and it ended up going all the way to state Supreme Court. The neighbors won. A bunch of people were embarrassed. There was a scandal that was uncovered, and so development was stopped here. And then, again, though it was still kind of out of control, that's about the time I got involved, about 1995, and it was in complete disrepair. It had been open all day and night, and people had been abusing it. So we came in and started a restoration process, which is still ongoing, as you'll see, and I'll point out later tonight. But at that time, then the city raised more money to develop the site again. Giuliani wanted to develop most of the community gardens throughout the 5 boroughs. And so we began the battle again. And eventually the original development proposal was moved to another site. But then, again, they brought in another project. Each project was like a $10 million backed, federally funded development proposal for low-income housing. So it was kind of like conquer and divide. They were making us look bad by trying to say that we didn't want low-income housing in our neighborhood, but really we wanted both low-income housing and open space. So we fought that battle. Luckily, after about 5 years, Elliot Spitzer was successful in brokering a deal with Mayor Bloomberg, and the garden was again safe. But you may have heard or read that, again, there's a new agreement with the city. Our lease agreement has expired this year. So it's still kind of tenuous. No one really knows what's going to happen to these spaces. So we're desperate for continued support. So now I want to tell you a little bit about what exactly we are. I mentioned that this was originally started as a community center, and it still is that. We function both as a place for art to be displayed, on the fence and on the murals on the walls. There are a few sculptures in the garden, and also it's a performance space. We also function as a community center in that we really help to deal with problems on the block and issues on the block. And then also we produce food here. We're a community-supported agricultural program. We also have separate little plots that individual members can steward. We're a membership organization. You don't have to have a plot, but you can if you've been an active member for a month and you paid your dues and done your work and all that. So you can grow pretty much anything you want. Most people grow food, but they also grow ornamental plants as well. The next move for us is we were trying to figure out, okay, we saved the garden now 3 times. We kind of know what we are, but we really wanted to define what this organization is going to be and be a really important aspect of the neighborhood. And so we've started to move towards designing it in a more sustainable way. We're harvesting rainwater. We're going to redesign the entire area where you'll be sitting today to actually harvest the runoff water from the site to prevent it from going into the storm sewer and actually direct it to a retention basin that would act as a pond that we might be able to grow actual food fish in. So we're moving in that direction. We're really accelerating our community-supported agriculture program and making it more perennial instead of using just annual crops like tomatoes, but berry shrubs and things like that that we don't have to plant every year and don't use so much water and energy. But to get a better idea of what I'm talking about, visually you can look at these drawings that I've laid out. There's basically a 3-phase project that we're proposing and we're trying to raise money for that will eventually lead to us being a more sustainable urban farm.
And folks, we'll leave these out for you to look at a little bit later. One question I know that a lot of folks have just about the trees, and we know these are willows, but there's been a few other questions about the other types of trees in here.
Well, first of all, the willows are huge, right? But they've only been here for about 30 years. The reason they're huge is that this sits on a stream in the middle of what used to be a wetland estuary. The stream is still there. It's buried underground. So these willows, they take up about 80 gallons of water a day. And that's why they're so huge. I mean, I get arborists here all the time who come to do work for us, excuse me, in the trees. And they are astonished that they're as big as they are, given that we don't irrigate at all. But
It's iced tea. It's just tea.
But the graphics on the table, they might bear some explaining. I'm happy to talk to anybody about them. But they show the original contours of the wetland, where the creek was, and all of that.
No, I'm starting to feel bad. So we're gonna how about Ross is gonna be at the table if you have more questions. Sometimes there's bleeding animals at dinners or the ocean waves. We're just dealing with the traffic noise.
You said bleat, not bleeding.
Not bleeding animals. Bleating animals, to clarify. Bleeding. Yeah. We can all bleat now together. So if you want to ask Ross more questions, you're welcome to. We're also going to make our way to the table. Are the plates where they left them?
Yes. Ross has one more.
Two more points actually. One is be careful around the gate. We're getting a new water system to the city, so there's some gaping holes. The city's kind of slow. And also,
don't drink too much
wine. If you
wine.
have any questions or you want me to give you a little tour, I'm happy to do that. I can show you the different spaces or walk you through the drawings.
Okay.
So as far as the plates go, before you rush off,